Hello, okay, and welcome to this training session on why a client roadmap is essential for client retention. Now, I'm going to try and keep it as short and snappy as possible because I know this is supposed to be like a free mini training, but at the end of the day, I want to help you, right? So, okay, ultimately then, what we all want is to have an impactful, stable, and fulfilling business that facilitates the life we want. I think I've pretty much summarized that's what we all want, right? We want to feel like we're actually making a difference and helping people to get to where they want to go. We want it to be stable, so we're not like stressing each month about income. Do we have enough clients? Are people going to drop off? Am I going to be able to sustain myself? We want it to feel stable, and ultimately as well, we would like it to be pretty fulfilling. We don't just want to earn money doing any old thing. We probably left a job to get into coaching because it's more fulfilling. Okay, so that's probably what we want, and we don't want it at the expense of a life. We don't want to be working all the time and not ever being able to enjoy the rest of our life. Okay, so that's what we want. And so I'm keeping all of this in mind as that being the end goal. So ultimately then, the fact of the matter is, in order for this to happen, we have to earn enough money. And at the most basic level, there are 3 ways that we can increase our income. We can get more clients, charge clients more, and we can keep clients for longer. Now, most of the time, we are super focused on the first one. I've got to get more clients, which makes sense, right? If we don't have enough clients, that our base income isn't enough, then obviously we need to generate some leads. And if clients drop off, we need to generate leads. However, I'm a huge proponent that shifting our attention to place more emphasis on the bottom 2 is actually a better strategy. Okay, so by being able to charge clients more money, so the lifetime value of a client is much higher, and we can keep clients for longer. So what ends up happening is, rather than needing an extremely large volume of people to pay us money in order for us to be able to sustain ourselves, instead what we want to be able to do is we want to have a smaller number of people that pay us more money, whether that be through a higher cost per month or over a longer period of time, ideally both, right? And this isn't from a place of we charge people a lot of money for the sake of it. Absolutely not, right? We want to get to a place where we are so confident in our coaching skills and our coaching program that we are charging clients more because we're more confident in getting them their dream result. And we want to keep clients longer, not for the sake of just keeping them longer, but because we are offering something of value to them. They want to stay in our world, right? And that is ultimately the dream scenario. So if we were to look at that in terms of like a diagram, we've got your coaching program, like your world, everything that you create for your clients. And obviously we have to get clients into our world, which is where lead gen comes in, marketing, the type of messaging that we're using. But we also have to stop people leaving our world, okay? And like I said, a lot of the time we focus our energy up in the top left corner. We're really focused on generating leads, getting more people in. But the problem is, if we haven't first nailed our coaching program, then we're bringing somebody into a place that's not even as amazing as it could be. So what's going to happen? They're going to leave. Or once they're in there, it's taking up so much time and energy from us because we haven't quite figured out what process we're taking them on and what their dream outcome is, right? We're selling them something to try to get them through the door. But then when it comes to the actual coaching part, we are being so personalized, which is in one hand a really good thing, but then there's actually no process. And so we're not quite sure. We're a little bit confused. The client's a bit confused. And so maybe we got them to sign up for an initial period. Maybe they agreed to 3 months. If we're really good in terms of our level of authority and our marketing, we might have been able to get them for 6 months. That's pretty tricky. That's quite rare. But then what ends up happening is we have an idea of what we're doing because we've got a lot of skills and we have a lot of knowledge. But when it gets to the end of that period, the end of the 3 months or the end of the 6 months, it's quite hard to communicate the value, right? Because we're like, okay, it's more of the same. We're going to have weekly calls, or we're going to have a check-in, or we're going to have this. But the problem is that isn't what is going to get a client to stay, because they need to see the tangibles. They need to understand what is the process going to look like, what can they expect, and how long is it going to take. Okay, this is what happens when it comes to making an offer. When we make somebody an offer, we need to offer them, we need to tell them a price, we need to know the process, and we need to tell them, the promise. What can we promise them, and what's the process going to be to get them there? That way, they're then happy with the price. Okay, but anyways, so my argument here is that actually, we don't want to be bringing people into a system that's not sorted yet, right? If we focus our energy on creating the best coaching program that we possibly can, that consistently gets clients from A to B, that is a place that they really want to be and they love being a part of, and we can stop them from leaving our program, then we're going to be in a much stronger position. And actually, it makes the other stuff easier. It's far easier to attract people because we know we're so much clearer on who we are actually trying to attract. We're so much clearer on how the hell we help them. And we have far more social proof that brings them into our world. Because otherwise, what we end up doing is the leads that we bring in are just replacing the clients that we've lost because we have a leaky bucket. If we don't nail our offer, our coaching world, our process, then we have a leaky bucket and we have clients that we don't know when they're going to drop off. They might drop off after 2 months, 6 months, 3 months, and we're never quite sure. And so we're on edge. Okay, we've got a leaky bucket, and the way to solve this issue isn't to just get new clients, because like we said, all that's doing is just replacing the clients that have left. We're never actually growing a business. So if you're stuck at a certain client number or you're finding it hard to grow, I can show you the shift that you need to make, right? And ultimately what we do first is we plug the holes, because we know it's tricky to get new clients, right? And we want to treat the clients as good as we possibly can. And so firstly, it's more fulfilling for us so that we can get clients this dream outcome. But it's better for them as well if they're a part of a world that's actually going to help them. And so the first thing we do is we plug the holes, we stop people from leaving, we shore up your world, make sure it's as amazing as it can be. And then that way, as you naturally learn how to bring clients in, which we talk about, your bucket is filling up. Your client numbers are growing. Your business is getting more sustainable. Okay. Now, why is a roadmap important? Let's get into that into more detail. Now, the reality of the situation is there are thousands and thousands and thousands of online coaches, right? Online trainers, online nutritionists, there's thousands. And so we're going to be trying to compete in one way or the other. We can either compete on price, and so what we're doing is we're being the cheapest, right? People will come to us because we're the cheapest. Now that's a crap game to play, because we're going to get into a state of where we can get clients in because we're really cheap, but then we are going to get burnt out because we're going to have huge numbers, we're over delivering, we start to build that resentment because we're not getting financially given enough money for what we're actually doing. And so that's not a position that we want to be in. And then it gets really hard to raise our prices down the line because we've attracted the kind of clients that want to pay a low cost. So then what sometimes we might feel like we need to do is we need to, or you see this a lot with business mentors, right? Is that they compete on promise. Okay, those business mentors are promising that they're going to get their clients to 5K months. Well, we're going to promise 10K months or 20K months, right? So the promise just gets more and more ridiculous. And so we don't want to play that game either. We don't want to have to promise our clients that they're going to lose 4 stone in 6 months. Okay, because again, clients are not going to be able to trust a massive promise, and we're less likely to be able to deliver on the promise. And what you'd know if you'd watched any of my sessions on retention, a huge component of keeping clients happy and to retain clients is to deliver your promises. And so if you're making these massive outlandish promises, you are not going to be able to deliver. The client will not stay. That's not the way to go. So maybe then we compete on our level of support. If you come with me, I'm going to give you more support. I'm going to be there for you. 24/7 support, all these calls, all of this. And again, starts off really well. And then what happens is when your client numbers grow, or after a few months, you realize, oh my God, I cannot sustain this. I need to not be giving so much support because I can't grow my business. It's not scalable. So we get down to this level, which is where most of us get stuck, right? We've got to compete on content now. We've got to put content out every day. Our content needs to be flashier, cooler. The problem is that we're not going to win this game. There are massive companies out there that are paying for copywriters, real editors, marketing teams, right? Or people have huge followings. So it's very hard to make your content stand out. And so then we might go down the route of trying to be likable. This is this idea, right, of trying to be an influencer, trying to get people to like us, acting like a clown, being silly. And again, look, if you have that personality, that actually really, really works. And that's going to work. And for some people who love content, you're going to find that works really, really well for you. But for most of us, we came into this because we want to do coaching. We might love nutrition, or we might love fitness. For me, right, I love psychology, I love behavior change. And so actually our skill set isn't marketing or creating content or trying to be likable. Our expertise is on the actual delivery of our knowledge and our expertise. That's how we can actually help people. But the problem is we need to get people into our world. And so this is where we get a bit lost, right? And we get a bit stuck, and it can be really frustrating. Really, the way that we compete, the only way that we can compete then, is by having a unique method and process. If there are thousands of other people like you, and there are people that are cheaper than you, there are people that are promising more than you, there are people who put more content out at a higher level, there are people who are just like funnier and all this kind of stuff, the difference is you have to have a unique method and process. You have to be able to get a client, a particular type of client, to their dream outcome in a unique way that nobody else is doing, okay? And maybe the way that you're doing it is easier. Maybe it's faster. Maybe it's more enjoyable. Maybe it's more sustainable, okay? But there's something about the way that you do it that has to be different. And not just that, when somebody's in your world, not only is your process different to get them their dream outcome, but the way you make them feel or that client experience is going to be excellent. Okay. And so for me, the great thing about this is something that we can actually control, right? We can actually control our method. We can actually break down our expertise into a step-by-step process that we can deliver consistent results over time. We can do that, which I love the fact that we can take control of this, right? And not just that, we can control our client experience. And so rather than just hoping that clients are going to enjoy it, we can cultivate and create the experience that we want to within our world. Okay. And so that's my argument basically for why it's really important to focus mostly on our program first and how everything kind of comes from there. So really, if we're focusing less on the lead gen, which is still important, but we're going to focus first and foremost on our world, stopping people from leaving our world, plugging the gaps, making our world as good as possible. So actually when we do get a client, we're not going to lose them straight away. That's what we're talking about retention. Okay. And here are the key of retention. Firstly, we must deliver on our promises. If we promise someone that we're going to help them with their relationship with food, or we're going to help them with their body image, we have to be able to do that. Okay, consistently. We have to know how to do that. If we're promising somebody that they're going to lose X amount of weight, we have to actually help them to get that promise. Okay, consistently, not just with some clients and depending on certain circumstances. We have to get really good at it. The second thing, we have to meet core emotional needs. This isn't going to make complete sense to you. Okay, I've got a whole module on this, but we have to be able to meet their core emotional needs. We have to deliver that exceptional client experience, and we have to provide them something that they can't get elsewhere. But the reason why we focus on a roadmap is because a roadmap does all of that. If we have a crystal clear roadmap, and by that I mean that when somebody signs up, we can map out what their journey is going to look like, and if they follow that journey, they are going to get to their dream outcome. If we have that, it means that we are going to be able to deliver our promise because the roadmap is optimized for their result. It allows us to meet their core emotional needs because we're spending less time figuring out what we're doing with the client, and we're spending more time actually helping with the issues that they're dealing with and the emotional needs that come up. We're able to create an exceptional client experience, again, because we now know what it is that we're trying to focus on. And it's unique because our roadmap is going to be different to any other coach. Okay, so this is why that is super important. And the great thing about having a client roadmap is it provides absolute clarity. So rather than feeling as though, oh, maybe I should do a body image course, or maybe I need to do a course that's going to help me learn about relationship with food. This stuff is all really important. But once you understand exactly what outcome you're going to get clients and the process that you use to get them there, if there are any gaps in your knowledge, you then know exactly what to upskill in, rather than reacting to oh, this client has this issue, this client has that issue. It really helps, right? It makes it streamlined, and it gives you more clarity. So the goal, what we're trying to achieve, is to have a crystal clear client roadmap that gets your ideal client from A to B, where B is their dream outcome. And we want it to play on your unique strengths, and it aligns with your unique philosophy to coaching, that allows you to get consistently excellent results with your clients in a way that is repeatable, clear, and unique, so that it can facilitate your dream life. This is my goal for you. This is what I want you to be able to do. Okay. And so the way that it works, if I was going to help you with this, not saying that I am, is that it looks like this. Most of the time we're really fixated on the top part. Okay. What app am I going to use? The service delivery. Am I going to be doing weekly calls or fortnightly calls? Am I going to be having this check-in or this check-in? And that's all at the top of the pyramid. But actually, we need to start at the bottom of the pyramid. What are our beliefs about change? What are our beliefs about nutrition, about training, about all this kind of stuff? Then we use that to turn it into our own philosophy of change. Then from that philosophy, we create our unique method. Then we put our unique method into a roadmap. So it has stages, it has phases to it, it has timelines. And only then do we need to worry about what specific tools that we need that helps us to deliver the result that we are after. Okay, hoping this is making sense. And so ultimately then, what we're creating, or what a roadmap looks like, is we have this, we almost look at it like a timeline. Okay, and so you need to know what the dream outcome is. You're going to say that you help clients with all different outcomes, right? And that's one of the problems, okay? You might help clients with all different things, but you still need to be able to identify an aspirational identity. So in 12 months' time, what would a dream outcome be for your ideal client? And you need to be able to map it out in terms of what would they believe, what would they be thinking, what would they be able to do, how would life be different, right? We need to know where we're trying to go. Then we need to know who is that the dream for, and what are their current challenges, right? What is the current challenges that they're experiencing? And then essentially, your program then takes them through different phases in a set process that takes them from their ideal state to their dream outcome, that helps them to overcome the problems on the way. Okay. And so this is where it starts to get complex, because there's loads of components. I don't want to confuse you, but ultimately you probably have pillars, right? You probably have nutrition, training, and mindset pillar. Most coaches have those things, or community pillar, or a resilience pillar, right? You have these pillars, and that is a really, really good start, because that demonstrates that you have a philosophy, or you have an idea around change. Okay. But then what you need, the next step to that, is to turn those pillars into a process. So if, for example, one of your pillars is training, and the dream outcome is for them to be able to run a marathon, and so you are going to take them from where they are now to be able to run a marathon, and you've got a philosophy, maybe you believe that it should be simple, maybe you should believe that it should enhance their life. This is all great, but now what you need to be able to do is turn it into a process. So what is the step-by-step process that clients go through that takes them from not running at all to running a marathon, or from being completely reliant on tracking to having food freedom? And what are the steps? Okay. And this informs your coaching roadmap and your coaching process. Now, I'm hoping this makes sense. And then what ends up happening is this leads so nicely into your lead gen, because what you end up doing is, rather than trying to sell, you think about this in terms of 12 months, you think of their dream outcome, but then what you do is you sell them a phase. So you might sell them phase 1, and the phase 1 could be 90 days long, it could be 6 weeks long, but rather than it just being 6 weeks then you roll into something else, and this is where we get the issues, right? We're just doing a monthly rolling. Instead, the 6 weeks has a particular promise, and it's the first step of the journey. And then you need to map out the next step of the journey, which is phase 2. Can you see how more clients are likely to pay and continue for a phase 2 when it's quite clear the sense of direction and what it is they need to do, right? And then from there, then they'll have a phase 3, and they'll all these phases mapped out to their dream outcome. Now, I've gone on for longer than I was thinking I was going to, but I hope this makes sense, and I hope it makes it clear why a client roadmap is absolutely essential. All right, so if you have any questions, or you want to know more, or where to get started with this,